This guy, he's the worst. All right, let's say for my final project, I drew the concept of logical empiricism. And I'm thinking, what the double hockey sticks, HE double hockey sticks is that? So here's where I start. First, Google. This Wikipedia, although it's not a really credible source, it does do a good job of explaining in layperson's view of what this is. Next, I would go to the Copley Library database. This, of course, is where you're going to get your academic research from. It's a great place to look for this. And then YouTube, just because YouTube has every concept I know that's on the paper, almost every concept ever made, and it puts it into a view that is good for auditory, for aural, and then for visual learners, which I am at New Concepts. So this is a great place to go to research your topic. All right, so going into your public speaking assignment, I see that I'll need to start with a title page. You know how to do this by now, of course, but start with a running head. If you have trouble, you can look back at our previous assignments and get the template there. Next, I need to form my one-page concept analysis with appendices. So what I'm going to do for my concept analysis is I'm going to research on my topic using the places that I showed you above here. So in my research, let's say I come across a work by Della on constructivism and the study of human communication, where they're explaining the concept of logical empiricism. So from this, I'll say, well, according to this, logical empiricism looks like all knowledge comes from and is justified then by observation and experiences. Well, a good hook to get my audience interested in that might be for me to drop my pen 3 times and then ask some leading questions on what's going to happen if my pen falls to the floor again. All right, so that's great. Now moving on in my research, I come across this video. This is going to be good for me to show the students, and then I'm going to separate them into groups and test their knowledge of empiricism versus rationalism. So it says see Appendix A. So this is where you'll be developing your appendix. This is going to be your opportunity to show what activity you would have in the class. There are many different activities that you can do. You can have them watch a film and then ask leading questions from that. You can have them create a dialogue. You can separate people into groups. You can play a game. Use your imagination here to express what kind of public speaker and teacher you would like to be. So in this case, I would say cut each of these into strips and then hand them out to the groups and have them separate them based on if this is in favor of empiricism or if it's in rationalism. So I would cut it here and then here, right? Oh, that wasn't very straight, but here and here. And then I'd give them that strip of paper and they'd have to decide as a group, is this in favor of rationalism or empiricism? All right. And then I'll have my references. So I got this appendix from this source here. So that's already one of my sources. And then I'll have Della, which is another source. So I'm kind of getting ahead here. But that's, so I have my title page, my one-page concept analysis with appendices, and then I have my APA reference page. And then next I'll need to design my lesson plan. So the lesson plan template is here for you to download, and then it explains the columns here. But I've already put it, I just copied and pasted it here. So my concept again is logical empiricism, my objectives. So my objectives I'll understand better once I've designed and reported on this concept analysis. So what do I want my students to come out of this hypothetical lecture understanding? So it might be one or two or three things. And then I'm going to state my materials, which I'll develop here. All right, so in this lesson step of a warm-up, I've decided to get their attention by dropping my pen 3 times and asking another student to drop my pen as well, and then ask leading questions to know if, for them to understand if observation is reality. I'll define logical empiricism, and then I'll provide value, and then state my preview points. So for developing your introduction and conclusion, I'm going to maybe reference back to the informative speech rubric if I need to, but maybe you will know the structure by then. Time. So how much time do I think this will take? Maybe 8 minutes. I want these again to, you'll see in the lesson plan, I want the time to add up to 80 minutes total. So next, I'm going to decide what learning styles do these cater to. So visual, I'll be dropping my pen a lot. So visually, the visual learners will get something out of that. Oral, will the oral learners get something maybe out of the definition? Yeah, probably. So I'd highlight that or underline it. You can do one or the other, just so that I can know what learning style you're catering to. Aoral, am I doing anything that is really auditory in this for them? No, probably not. Kinesthetic, if I ask another audience member to drop the pen, they are getting some activity out of that. So yes, I'd be catering to the kinesthetic learning style. So this will show me that you understand that you're working with a diverse audience. And let's say you did all of these sections and catered it only to a visual learner. Well, I would think, why are you leaving out all of these 3 types of other learners in your audience? So make sure this is well balanced as you go through. All right. After you've done the lesson plan and developed it, your last thing you'll do is develop a quiz. So the quiz will be, oh, thank you. The quiz will be based on your lecture, your hypothetical lecture. Think about, after this lecture, what do you think the audience would be able to answer about this? So for example, I'm going to put the concept here. I'll put the objectives. If you don't have 3 objectives, maybe you move that one out. So the first, true or false, I might say empiricism belongs to the field of architecture. So that's false. So I'm going to indicate that here, that that's false. So essentially you're designing the test and taking it as well. You should know the answers to these questions. Empiricism is often contrasted with rationalism. Yes, that is true. And I think that my students would be able to get that out of my lecture after this class. So you'll go through and design, it's just 10 quick questions. And that's it for the packet. I would, if I were you though, go through the rubric and make sure that you've hit all of those points. So concept analysis, I see to get my full points, I need to provide a description of the class concept that was thoroughly researched. So I need to show that this was thoroughly researched and has an effective flow. So the concept included activities illustrated in the lesson plan. So I need to see your appendix that there is at least one activity included in this concept, in this class. And then you'll see with lesson plan, your reference page, and quiz, all of the stipulations that I will be looking for in your final packet. All right, so when you have this final packet done, you'll print that out and bring it to class on your speech day. And I'm going to show you what that's going to look like.